This video is about our install of the sunroof.
When we were in South Padre Island, I opened this sunroof from the inside and the wind caught it. And that was the result. It was not a good situation. Luckily today, I was doing that on purpose and we have a replacement. We're gonna be replacing it for you. So follow along and find out how we do that. It must be Maintenance Monday. Woo! Let's get to work.
So on our old sunroof, all the plastic sat in the sun for 15 or so years, and well, the sun really did a number on it, and it started breaking down and becoming very brittle. So I figured the amount of money we're spending on this, I want to make it last. I don't know if we're going to have this camper that long, but if we do, I want these plastic pieces to last. I don't want to have to do this again. And so what I did is I painted all the opaque plastic parts, got a layer of paint, specifically clear UV paint, and that is going to resist the UV rays going down the line and make this plastic last a heck of a lot longer. I hope. So in order to do that, I had to take the entire thing apart. And so now we're just putting it back together real quick, and then we'll get ready to put it on the roof. So the first step in this process is we got to take off the interior bezel and dismount the sunroof from the underside. So in order to do that, we gotta pull all these guys off. And underneath them are a bunch of little screws. And down she goes. All right, now that we got the interior bezel off, we're gonna take all these little blue clamps off, and that is the only thing that holds the sunroof down. So after that, it'll be all up top on the roof. In order to take the acrylic roof off, you have to unhook these two guys, and now it'll lift up just fine. The rest of the job is up on the roof. A little over a year ago, we were in South Padre Island, and I opened this sunroof to show my brother the incredible views that we were experiencing, and neglected to think about how windy it was. Upon opening this shell, it flew open to its full extent and broke off, and there's a huge crack right here that I ended up repairing with some epoxy, but I knew that was a temporary solution and I need to be replacing this sunroof ASAP. Here we are a year later. It's still holding up, but not very well. And I finally got the new sunroof in. I had to order it from Germany. It was not easy, and it wasn't cheap to ship either, but it's the only solution I had because this is an aluminum frame for this hole, and so therefore I can't change the size of the hole very easily. And so I decided, you know, it was worth the extra expense to get the exact replacement from Germany. That way I wouldn't have to modify the hole. You gotta peel up all this Dicor without falling off the roof. Seems to be a little brittle from the sun. There's all that TPO roofing that peeled up, and curl the Dicor around. help it create a seal. What this is going to do is it's going to create a little extra barrier of protection. I figure I've peeled all that TPO roofing up. I gotta create a bond again. The next step is, now that we've cleaned all the debris off of here, we're gonna lay down our butyl tape, and we're gonna do 2 strips of butyl tape on this one. Once we got our butyl tape all on, we're gonna put down our new sunroof right over the top of it. We're gonna clamp it down. Once we're done clamping it down, we're gonna put on the die-core. So when I'm laying down butyl tape, I like to get right up on the edge of my hole. And the reason is because when I clamp down whatever it is I'm installing, it's gonna squish this butyl tape and it'll ooze out around the corner and create a really nice seal. When you're laying down butyl tape, you wanna really press on it and make sure you're getting all the air gaps out. Remember, this is to seal out water, and water always finds a way. So we don't want to give it any chances. If you're ever laying down butyl tape and it's really hot outside, the butyl tape will have a very difficult time separating from this plastic. What I've found works really well, you can get those little blue ice packs that you put in your lunchbox and make sure they're nice and cold, and then you lay it down on top of the wax strip. Let it sit for it only takes about 30 seconds or a minute, and it'll cool down the die-core, and then immediately you lift it off and immediately rip up the wax paper, and that seems to work really well. Anytime you're working with butyl tape, you want to buy more than you need, because the last thing you want to do is get halfway through a project and run out, because that just sucks. More butyl tape. And then you want to seal up all your corners. So before we put down the sunroof, we want to go around and inspect our butyl tape with a piece of wax paper. And if there's any spots that look like they're sticking up, there's an air gap or whatever, you want to go ahead and push those down now. Give this every chance it can get to make a good seal. Now we're going to go ahead and set this down in the hole right over the top of the butyl tape. You want to check the underside of it to make sure there's no debris on it, because ultimately that's what's going to create a good seal. All right, here goes nothing. Once you get it on there, you want to really press it down, but you got to be careful where you're pressing. Especially if you have an older sunroof that's been baking in the sun. This one's brand spanking new, so the plastic isn't brittle yet. But I still don't want to break it, and I'm putting a lot of pressure down. So the place I'm putting the pressure is right here on the flat part. You don't want to press on this plastic, you will break it. Something really important to note, if you're buying a Hecky 2 or any Set's Hecky sunroof for that matter, they have 2 different sizes of clamps, and you need to know the thickness of the roof that you're clamping to, because in our particular case, the roof's not all that thick, and this is not long enough for our application. Luckily, I have the old ones from the old roof, and they're not sun-baked because they've been hiding away in the plastic. So the way this works, they go up into a slot and they grab the inside and you tighten it down. Now you want to be careful you don't over tighten it, because if you over tighten it, this is just plastic and it will break right here at this corner. Ask me how I know. We're going to go ahead and
go inside and clamp this thing down.
Next step is we're gonna install these guys.
We've clamped this all the way down, and we're gonna lay down our die core. The further up you cut on this tube, the bigger your hole's gonna be, the fatter your caulking's gonna be, and we like it fat on the roof. So we're cutting it nice and close. And then there's a little pin on this applicator tool, and its purpose is to puncture the membrane inside of here. I like to give it a bunch of punctures so I don't have to work so hard. Make it a nice and big hole, and then put it back with the tube so I don't get my hands all messy. And then once you put it in, you go ahead and pull your trigger till it starts to fill up. You want to be careful that you don't fill the tube up all the way until you're ready to go, because man, sometimes it will just keep coming out of there and that can get messy. So laying down the die core is pretty easy. This is self-leveling, so it's going to do 90% of the work for us.
Okay, so it's been 48 hours. The die core is partially cured. It takes a full 2 weeks for this to cure. But we're ready to put on the roof of the sunroof, the dome portion, if you will. And that'll be it. We're done with the sunroof after that. So let's put that on. I'll be right back. Now I gotta screw these struts in. Got a little spot, so I might need some pliers.
So last but not least, it's time to install the interior bezel of the sunroof.
We done. We done. I said we done.
Well, that's the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure enjoyed making it. Remember, I'm not an expert in this field. I'm just doing stuff from my own experience. In reality, I really don't know what I'm talking about. So do your research, do your homework, make sure you're doing it right yourself. Hey, let me tell you about Travel Tuesdays. You enjoyed this stuff. Tuesdays, every single week, we release a video of all the wonderful places that we go. So check them out. They're right here. Yeah, right there. Over there. Somewhere around here. That's the one.